In this video, you will follow along on an actual full-frame window replacement project from beginning to end, so you can learn how to properly install a sunrise double-hung window on an actual job application. The first step in any full-frame window replacement project is a detailed assessment of the project, which includes interior and exterior assessments, accurate measurements, a water management plan, and a plan for interior and exterior trim application. Also, the understanding of the customer's desire to maintain or alter the aesthetics of a window style and decor to fit their personality and lifestyle is critical. Once this assessment is made, a complete window replacement package can be presented to the homeowner. A thorough assessment is also critical to developing an accurate estimate and a problem-free installation plan. This can avoid costly mistakes and callbacks. To make these steps easier, Sunrise offers a full training program, including sales assessment, measuring, and installation training. In this segment, we will review how the measurement worksheet helps you record all the pertinent information you'll need to properly assess, estimate, and calculate accurate window unit size for a job. Customer input is a crucial component of your assessment. When you meet with a customer, listen carefully to their goals for the project and take good notes. This homeowner wants to replace the old windows and interior trim, but wants to maintain the traditional exterior brick mold design without the maintenance required for wood. Also, they would like to change the interior trim to be more traditional with a stool and apron detail. Take digital photos of the home's interior and exterior, capturing all windows and doors included in the project. Digital photos make it easier to recall project details at a later time. After taking photos, carefully examine the existing windows. In this case, they're traditional wood, double-hung windows with single-pane glass. The interior of the window is stained brown. The homeowner wants to change the windows to a white finish. The interior trim is a traditional 2 7/8 colonial casing painted white in a picture frame application. The existing windows are difficult to operate and to clean. Also, some windows have deteriorated. The exterior putty glazing is cracked or missing. One has cracked glass in the sash, and one showing signs of water damage. Behind the trim at the side jambs are uninsulated pockets between the rough opening and the window frame. The exterior of the home has the original aluminum siding, which the homeowners would like to leave undisturbed if possible. The heads of the windows are flashed, but new head flashing may be needed along with additional flashing to seal the rough opening and integrate it in with the existing siding and water management materials. This will help provide a weather-tight seal. In some cases, the water management strategy may require the removal and replacement of existing exterior siding materials. The exterior trim is painted white and is a traditional 2 1/4 inch milled brick mold with sill nose at the base. The existing casing is in poor condition, revealing signs of rot and decay. The homeowners would like to have it replaced with a low-maintenance material similar to the new windows. One of the windows in question is a twin double hung that was replaced with vinyl pocket windows, and the old wood casing was wrapped in aluminum coil. Examination reveals the caulking has not been maintained, and the wood has rotted with no insulation behind the missing frame members. Energy efficiency is a key factor for replacing these windows. During the sales glass demonstration, the homeowner compared their single glass sash to a sash filled with insulation and Energy Star rated dual and triple pane glass units, and chose the dual pane units, which are almost 3 times more efficient than the single glazing in the existing windows. Once the assessment is complete, the next step is to take accurate measurements of the existing windows. The goal is to determine the actual window size, or the tip-to-tip size. The most common measurement for existing windows with exterior brick mold is to measure the brick mold dimensions. First, measure the width and height of the existing exterior brick mold. It's recommended to measure at 3 locations and to use the smallest of the dimensions. Record the smallest brick mold to brick mold dimensions on the measurement worksheet. Also, it is a good practice to check the squareness of the existing window unit by taking 2 corner cross measurements. Next, measure the existing interior trim size, width, and height to determine the paint line dimension. This will be critical to confirm the interior casing dimension required to cover the paint line. Record these dimensions on the measurement worksheet. Also, determine the jamb depth and record on the measurement worksheet. Now we have all the required measurements for this job, and we will review the calculations to determine the final sizes to use for window and interior trim ordering at the end of this session. Next, we will discuss some other methods for measuring when the window is not installed with brick mold. To measure from the interior, the most accurate method is to remove the existing trim and measure the rough opening. Unfortunately, most homeowners prefer that you not remove the trim, so this method is not always an option. Be prepared to use other measurement methods. This is a wood window tear-out, and an alternative method includes locating or drilling an access hole in the frame. If no access is available, ask the homeowner for permission to drill a small hole through the side jamb where it won't show and plug it afterwards. Drill a hole in the jamb track where it will be covered by the sashes when they are in the closed position on both sides of the window. Use a small drill bit or wire and insert into the hole to measure the distance from the inside face of the side jamb to the inside face of the rough opening frame member. Measure the distance on the drill bit to get the measurement. Next, measure the inside width of the opening from jamb to jamb. Record these measurements on the measurement worksheet. The sum of these three dimensions equals the existing rough opening width. To take the vertical measurement, open the window and drill a small hole in the sill as close to the inside edge of the stool as possible. Again, use the wire to get a measurement from the top of the sill plate rough opening to the top of the window sill. Next, take a measurement from the top of the window sill where the hole was drilled to the inside face of the head jamb. Finally, drill another hole through the head jamb and use the wire to repeat and complete the measurement process. Note that some older homes may have a hollow cavity above the window. Record these three measurements and add them together to get a rough opening height. After you leave the homeowner's residence, you can use the measurements recorded on the worksheet to determine the actual or tip-to-tip window size. Subtract 3 inches from the brick mold width and 2 7/8 inches from the brick mold height to calculate the actual window size. The factory assembled interior trim size will match the tip-to-tip window size. Next, the casing width will determine the new paint line dimensions. Use the adder below the casing width to determine the correct casing that provides a paint line wider and taller than the recorder old paint line. We will need 2 7/8 inch wide casing for these two windows. There are further instructions and calculations for applications where the wall is tiled, windows above the sink, windows are between cupboards, and for determining opening size for aftermarket blinds. These are covered in our detailed training program sessions. The installation process begins from the moment the crew arrives. Be sure to arrive on time, introduce yourselves, and take the appropriate time to prepare the work area. Set up required tarps and supplies on the exterior side of the home first. Inside, starting from the back entry of the home, they cover the floor in the work area with drop cloths to help prevent any damage. Be sure the homeowner has properly prepared the area, removing all furniture, pictures, and personal items from the work area. While bringing materials into the home, be careful not to damage the walls and the woodwork, and place all installation tools and materials on the drop cloths. Before removing the old windows, check the new windows to make sure the units specified for the job are correct. Inspecting all window units to make sure they are in good condition and all parts are included, so the installation can proceed without delay. Double check all measurements and paperwork for any information or special installation instructions. If everything is confirmed correct, remove and dispose of all packing materials and prepare to remove the existing windows. To begin the tear-out process of the existing window, the first step is to remove the interior trim around the window. First, score around the perimeter of the interior trim at the paint line with a utility knife. This will allow the removal of the trim without tearing the paint. Then, remove the interior trim with a putty knife, taking care to minimize damage to the interior wall. Next, move to the exterior of the home to complete the old window tear-out. Extract all screw fasteners and remove the aluminum storm windows. Next, cut the caulk line along the butt joint created by the existing siding and window brick mold. In this instance, the homeowner likes the current window's appearance and doesn't want to install J-channel around the window perimeter. Then, cut the screws in the exterior sill nose and side brick molded pieces. This makes the separation of the brick mold from the window frame easier and with less force. This also prevents the window from being forced to the inside and damaging drywall. Also, determine if the existing metal flashing at the head of the window is still usable or if it needs to be replaced. Remove all brick mold with a small pry bar, being careful to minimize damage to exterior wall or cladding. Be careful to preserve the existing black felt building paper. Then remove the top and bottom sashes to lighten the weight of the window unit. Finally, inspect between the frame rough opening and the existing frame for any anchors that may need removed. If required, run a reciprocating saw around the frame to cut any nails that may be holding the frame in place. In some instances, you will be able to carefully tip the old window out of the rough opening with one installer on the inside of the house and the other on the outside and dispose of it. For this job, we'll need to remove each frame piece separately, and the sill requires us to cut it in half for ease of removal. The next step in the process is to clean the rough opening and prepare it for the new window unit. First, they remove all old nails, screws, and insulation from the rough opening. Now the drywall at the sill needs to be trimmed to be flush with the sill stud. Note, this requirement may vary and is based on the existing window design and installation. Next, they use a vacuum to remove any dust and debris. Finally, they inspect the rough opening for any damaged or rotted wood. When rot or damage is found, the wood must be replaced before installation can proceed. Remember, every window replacement project is unique, and assessing all water management techniques needs to be done for each project. The technique you're about to see best suits this particular installation project. Water management systems are used to direct water downward and outward, away from the home. For this installation, the first step is to build up the sill with wood lathe. This buildup allows the window to be raised, so no pressure is transferred to the existing siding. The sill buildup was taken into consideration when sizing the window units. Remember when measuring to take into consideration any modifications like the sill buildup for the water management system. Next, stretchable flashing tape is applied to the sill and about 6 to 8 inches up each jamb. Then flashing tape is placed on each jamb, overlapping the sill flashing. Finally, flashing tape is placed on the head frame. Under the existing aluminum head frame, flashing and overlaps each jamb flashing. The final step is applying F-trim behind the top of the siding edge at the sill. This will be adjusted and sealed in place after the window is installed. Additional water barrier material will be added, but not until the window units are installed. Now we are prepared to install the windows. One goal of this replacement job is to maintain the appearance of the original 2 1/4 inch milled wood exterior brick mold appearance and eliminate the need for future maintenance painting. These replacement windows were ordered with the factory applied brick mold frame option, which simulates the look of the traditional 2 1/4 inch milled brick mold. Remove the brick mold screw cap cover and set aside for reinstallation after all fasteners are installed. If weight is an issue, the installers may remove both window sashes. Next, apply 2 beads of sealant to the perimeter of the rough opening, one to the rough opening edge and the other to the joint butting area of the exterior cladding. From the outside, they lift the unit into the rough opening. being careful not to stress the sill buildup area. They check each unit for plumb, level, and square, and make any necessary adjustments before tacking the windows in place using screws in the hidden brick mold screw cavity. Inside, they insert shims behind the side jamb, between the unit frame and the rough opening, and check the reveal between the sash and frame. For a brick mold installation, shims are required behind the meeting rail jamb jacks to allow for proper reach and use of the jamb jacks. Ensure the units are still level, plumb, and square, making adjustments as necessary. Then finish securing the unit to the rough opening using screws in the hidden brick mold fastener cavity. Reinstall the brick mold hidden cavity cap covers that were set aside earlier. Next, the screws are placed on the side jamb at the pre-drilled installation holes. This is required to meet the structural performance grade rating for the product. Finally, trim off any excess shims and insulate around the perimeter with a non-expanding foam sealant. Be sure the unit is properly flashed and sealed for protection against water and air infiltration. Apply a final cap bead of sealant along the perimeter of the window siding joint. Confirm the head flashing is installed and sealed properly. Next, pull the pre-inserted F-trim or finish trim up to the bottom of the new sill nose. Seal and secure in place. Remember, the sill has been built up to ensure the window frame did not rest on the exterior siding after installation. Finally, reinsert the screen to complete the exterior installation. On most remodel applications, installing new trim after a full frame window replacement can add up to 2 additional days to the job. It usually requires a finish carpenter to install and then additional painting and finishing of the trim. We will be using the new innovative factory assembled and pre-finished jamb and casing unit option from Sunrise Windows. There is no on-site fabrication or finishing required. Let's take a look at how this new option is installed. The first step in applying the new factory assembled and finished interior jamb and casing unit is to shim the center of the header, sill, and jambs to help position and support the trim box. This is done after the window is installed and insulated, and before the trim box is installed. If the shims stick out too far, trim them to the interior side of the rough opening. It should be noted that the interior trim box jamb extension dimensions are identical to that of the window unit. Next, the trim box is set into the rough opening using the shims as guides. Check the reveals and install finish nails in the 4 corners of the interior casing. The installers use nail guns to minimize pounding on the old walls and drywall. Then, the main fasteners are applied to the jamb extension near the window unit at each center shim, and then 8 to 12 inches on center. Additional nails are placed in the interior casing as required to ensure a clean fit against the interior wall. You will see a slight gap between the window unit frame and jamb extension. This gap allows for varying thickness in the wall and eliminates the need to angle cut the jamb extension. The scribe molding is then inserted on top of the jamb extension to cover the gap. It is placed against the window unit frame and fastened in place with finish nails. The homeowner desired to change the look of the interior trim to a more traditional style, with a stool and apron at the windowsill. The stool is pre-assembled to the trim unit, and the next step is to butt the prefabricated apron to the stool and nail in place. The final step is to fill all nail holes and wipe the trim clean. Take the time to do a thorough final cleanup. Research has shown that the installer's failure to clean up the work area after finishing a job is often a customer's #1 complaint. Next, all garbage is removed, and then the homeowner is notified that all work is completed and they can inspect before leaving. For additional information on the new innovative interior trim and full frame replacement system, contact Sunrise Windows and see for yourself why the difference is clear.